All right, welcome back to Flag and Socks, the podcast, episode 256. Today on the show, Pete Hegsth might be the only thing stopping us from World War III with Iran. We're going to show you why some groups want him out. Then we have a gross Indian segment of our Migrants section you're not going to want to miss. And after that, in Cringe of the Week, we show you some clips from left-wing podcasts that are way worse than ours. And last but not least, in Urban Decay, we have even more proof that it is, in fact, pepper spray season. All this and more, it's Fleckus Talks, the podcast, episode 256, ranked the best news podcast of all time!
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words, but at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's Fleckus Talks, the podcast, featuring Richard Grabboy.
All right, 1 for 1 on the intro, as always. Guys, you've heard me talk about My Patriot Supply because I trust them when it comes to my family's well-being. I just got word that My Patriot Supply is doing something they've never done before. Right now, you can get the best-selling Mega 3-month emergency food supply for the same price as the standard kit. That's more than $360 of real beef, real chicken, plus farm-fresh fruits and vegetables at no extra charge. Even better, this kit now gives you 2,500 calories a day, more than any other emergency food supply I've seen. And let's be honest, when things go sideways, you're gonna need more than just survival. You need strength, you need energy, you need real food. This kit will be there when you need it. It lasts fresh on the shelf for up to 25 years, and it ships fast and discreetly. If you've been waiting for the right time, this is it. Go to preparewithfleckus.com right now and claim your mega emergency food kit while this offer still lasts. Preparewithfleckus.com is the website. It's linked in the description. Thank you to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring. Let's get into housekeeping. All right, thank you to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring.
Thank you, My Patriot Supply.
You guys know what to do. You know to prepare.
Yeah.
Especially when we think we're okay. That's actually when you need to prepare the most. All right. Especially with the summer coming up. Might be a hot summer. You might not want to leave your house for a little bit. You want to eat some of that food.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Happy Friday, Richard.
Thank you.
Episode 256.
Random number. No significance.
No significance.
But it is a Friday episode.
It is a Friday episode. We have the weekend coming. It's the summer almost. We should do Sandwich of Summer soon.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, though. It might be the same as the last two Sandwiches of Summer. It's the BLT.
Yeah.
Sandwich of Summer is
Settled. Settled.
Done. Sandwich of Summer is the BLT. All right. We have a lot to get to. We're doing longer episodes, as you guys know, so the scripts are fully packed.
Okay.
Let's get right into our first story. Can you read that?
Yeah, breaking. President Donald Trump is about to take major action against Act Blue, the Democrats' fundraising arm. This is huge. Trump is set to sign a memorandum targeting foreign contributions in American elections. AG Pam Bondi is reportedly to be involved in the crackdown on Act Blue, and Act Blue is reportedly bracing for this action.
I like what I hear.
Yeah, and I think we reported on it, Act Blue having a bunch of micro donations from like a living in squalor house in New Orleans or on the outskirts of New Orleans. Like the type where Google Maps drives by and there's 3 people hanging out on the porch.
Yeah.
And it turns out they've donated $17,000 to Act Blue over time.
They're really passionate about the Democrat initiatives.
The platform, yeah. Abortion was near and dear to them. And, they're hanging out on the porch. But, yeah, that's definitely a thread that's got to be pulled. And you want me to read this?
Yeah, there's an example in the comments.
This guy, Matt Van Swol, said, maybe now someone can explain why donations were made in my name to Act Blue candidates in Kansas when I've never been to Kansas.
I think there's a lot of situations like that. I think a lot of people who are falling under that same category don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like this guy figured it out. He found his name in the thing.
We might have to make that a trend of searching your own name in the Act Blue database.
Yeah, it is getting to be that time because I think a lot of people don't even realize that fraudulent donations were probably made in their name. And hopefully this is enough, action here to get going on the election fraud stuff. I think this, USAID, cracking down on the social security numbers for illegals, maybe some mail-in ballots. Maybe by the midterms, we can get a lot of the voter fraud issues squared away.
Yeah, we'll see. But Act Blue definitely seems like one of those money machines that they have that has a lot of gray areas that they bend the rules on, exactly like USAID. It's kind of part of the patronage network. And you want that money machine turned on for you if you're running, and it's illegitimate is what it seems.
They know how to run a good racket, and that's one of their tools.
They really do, man.
Yeah. All right, next, obviously, we already covered the Pope dying, but I wanted to highlight this from Pigeon News BBC.
You want me to read this?
Yeah.
I'll try.
Try your best with the accent, too.
Body of Pope Francis arrived for St. Peter's Basilica. We are people, they tell him bye-bye.
That's how you say funeral.
Yeah, bye-bye.
That's how you say funeral in Pigeon. It's tell him bye-bye.
These people,
That's fun.
I know.
That's like a fun language. If I was in school and I had the choice between French, Spanish, or Latin or Pigeon, I'd take Pigeon. I wouldn't study, and I would pretty much get it on the test.
Well, I think if you're like a pretty articulate English speaker, you know, like 5,000 words. I'm assuming BBC Pigeon is like 1,500 tops.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a simple people. They're simple people.
And then
tell them bye-bye.
Tell them bye-bye. That means funeral. And then obviously with the Pope dying, there's going to be a new Pope selected, and there are some people who are lobbying to have influence on that pick.
Breaking, Israel has launched a new lobbying org, VIPAC, Vatican Israel Public Affairs Committee, in an effort to influence the papal conclave.
I don't know why Israel would need a say in who the Pope is. I'm assuming they want another guy who's going to push for open borders and third worlders migrating all over, destroying more Christian nations, if I had to guess.
I don't know. I don't personally know, but I don't think they take any insight from how they should run Israel from the Pope.
That's a good point.
It's a very one-way street with this influence and lobbying groups and stuff.
That seems to be a common trend.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. All right, let's get into our next story. Pete Hegsth is under attack. We have a Raw Egg Nationalist post and then a follow-up.
Yeah, last week, Pete Hegsth helped convince Trump not to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. Days later, he's fighting for his job after a fresh scandal emerges. Are the two things connected? Maybe. And he posted his article.
And then Harrison Smith from InfoWars had this in the replies.
He said, Israel is attempting a hostile takeover of the American military because they are desperate to attack Iran in this window of opportunity they created by eliminating their proxies. This is the biggest story on earth. If they succeed, it's World War III.
Yeah, so that's what we're up against, and that's obviously what we're trying to avoid. If we get dragged into a war with Iran, it's just kind of proof that the bad guys are really, really in control, which obviously we don't want, and we don't want another war in the Middle East on Israel's behalf, just like all the other wars were.
Yeah.
So we obviously want to avoid that. And it's interesting, too. You notice how when Pete Hegseth gets Trump to not go to war with Iran, then all of a sudden he's dealing with a scandal. Mm-hmm. He's got something in the news or an allegation. Some
staffers are leaving, people are fleeing ship, and all these media spins come out immediately after that.
Yeah, there's always like a blackmail thing. Oh, Pete Hegseth is tranny sex tape. You know? There's once you don't do what certain groups want you to do, then you start dealing with scandals. And I think that's what the Signal chat could have been too, because the Signal chat arguably could have gotten Pete Hegseth fired. Mm-hmm. So then it makes you wonder where that Signal chat mess up came from and how it happened. And then there's actually a song that sums up our foreign war influence problem. Let it play.
The banks are controlled by this group. Hollywood is run by this group. They even run the news. I'm obviously talking about dudes.
We've got some bad dudes running things in our government.
Yeah.
Not very good.
No, I think right now Joe Rogan is facing a similar kind of smear campaign.
I bet.
It seems a little coordinated with who he's platforming and who he's allowing to debate on his platform. And a lot of people are kind of smearing him.
Yeah, and then you get like these personal attacks, and then you get like an allegation or two, and then you kind of get, your reputation tarnished in the public sphere, and then everything you did before that was actually insightful or groundbreaking that's like second place to, well, he may have said this or he may have tweeted that.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that, guys. The allegations.
All right.
All right, next, we have another Pete Hegsth clip that's not related to war with Iran.
Troops fighting in the unit that many of you will lead are capable, truly physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. They need to be fit, not fat, sharp, not shabby, especially our leaders.
That's nice. Less fat people in the military leadership.
Yeah, and I think that's something reasonable too, where if you're an enlisted or just underneath some leaders and they're just a fat slob piece of shit who's kind of resting on their laurels, of course you're not going to respect that guy as much. So interesting. We'll see how it plays out, and we'll see if anybody smears him so that they can't keep the fat fucks in the military leadership.
That's interesting. And then you could almost make the argument that that type of lowering the standards for leadership came when like women went in. Because like, all right, men had this standard. It was the standard for the military. Then women came in. We had to lower it here.
Second set of standards now.
Second set of standards. And you're opening like the Pandora's box of second set of standards. And then, you didn't pass the fitness test. You're better than Deb and she's in the thing. So everyone's fine.
Yeah, and you can't forget why Pete Hegseth kind of got in. It's to revamp our military, and I think recruitment numbers and morale are both up recently. Pete Hegseth, he wrote the book, The War on Warriors, which covered a lot of this, how standards have been leaking. Everything's just been kind of getting more lax and retarded. And so that's what he's here for, not war with Iran, not a proxy war, for somebody else's issues with Iran. So
yeah, fresh new war. Pass. All right, moving on. Speaking of being blackmailed and manipulated by Israel, John Roberts, Supreme Court Justice, said he won't be listening to any district court injunctions until around the midterms.
John Roberts is delaying all of these cases until the midterms. He is seeking to undo the 2024 Democratic election. What is the term they all used for this? That's what Cernovich said. This is about basically some of the court injunctions that a federal judge is imposing on the Trump administration, like, oh no, you can't deport these Venezuelan gang members. We have an injunction; they need due process, right? Or oh no, you can't do X, Y, Z. Some random district judge does it, but then John Roberts and the Supreme Court, if they take their time getting those cases, then it kind of just lingers unsolved. And there's a ruling against Trump that hasn't been heard by the Supreme Court. And so that's kind of what Cernovich is talking about there.
Yep, and we don't know why Supreme Court Justice John Roberts is doing this, but we have to assume the worst and assume that he's the same John Roberts that was on Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs. It's a very unique name.
Yeah.
Could be anybody. It has to be him, right?
No.
So how many John Roberts are there?
Gotta be thousands.
Okay, so there could be another coup in the works. It's kind of what it feels like. It's early on. And keep in mind, too, the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump can, on his own, decide to drone strike Americans. But then you need a 21-day heads up if you're going to try to deport a Venezuelan gang member.
Yeah, it's very weird where the federal power lies. And these court things, these court cases and everything like that, it's all a thing of timing and delaying and kind of impeding, and it's hurting our ability to deport actually criminals too. And that's all it takes. It doesn't have to be necessarily the most nefarious, like here's a backwards and upside down ruling, although that's what some of the district court judges are doing. But it just has to be like a slow grind that kind of wastes your time and delays and pauses it so you can't make progress elsewhere.
Exactly.
Here's another example. This just happened. Breaking: a federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's effort to require proof of citizenship to register to vote. Does that make sense to any of you?
Which judge was it?
And what rule was it based on? No citizenship proof? This is the type of thing that the Supreme Court needs to jump in and rule on immediately. But if they don't, then this kind of ruling stays in place for a little while, and we're going to have fraudulent elections until the Supreme Court hears it.
All it takes is a few judges, and then Obama put so many judges in that, like, by the time you can't weed them out and also make progress. You have to, like, weed them out first and then make progress.
And then Judge Boasberg, he's kind of been famous for ruling against Trump recently, and there's this thing where these cases are supposed to be randomly assigned to federal judges, and Boasberg has had like 4 in a row that are like of supreme importance to the Trump's agenda, which, you know, we won every swing state, the Trump agenda. And it's almost statistically impossible for him to get all these banger cases that he just keeps ruling against.
He's a hitter.
Yeah, he's their guy, much like Act Blue is their money funneling scheme. So I don't know, something to watch, but the Supreme Court not acting fast is kind of hurting the administration.
The bad guys' infrastructure is there.
Yeah.
They do a good job of, they got their people here, they got their organizations there, they don't cross paths, and they have a really tight operation.
And impeaching federal judges is like hard to do and hasn't been done a lot, but we're kind of reaching the boiling point where someone needs to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that you obviously need Congress to do that.
All right, wrapping this section up. Also, when it comes to Supreme Court calling for due process, I saw this meme that really summed it up. Where was that for the January 6ers who are actually American citizens?
Yeah.
Remember they didn't get any hearings and they were in jail for years? That one guy was living on the ground in solitary confinement?
Yep.
But no, he's not a Venezuelan criminal. He's not in Tren de Agua.
Yeah.
So I guess he doesn't get the same due process that these illegals deserve. All right, moving on. Our next story, Trump mulls $5K baby bonus for moms in bid to reverse declining birth rates. You know, that's interesting.
Bad.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we need to be doing everything we can to incentivize Americans having kids. But this money machine, the 5K, giving out 5K, who do you think is going to be chinging that register?
I have a feeling a lot of people from Urban Decay
A lot of
are going to be, I got 5K.
EBT recipients might hit the throttle. And so, I don't know, just word of advice to the Trump administration from our perspective, you need to be offering massive tax incentives for people having kids, like up to $350,000 of income per household, you know? Mm-hmm. You need to go crazy because it rewards people who are already productive having kids, and then make it so that they have to be married too. You know, let's incentivize the behavior, not just any kid, yeah. $5,000. It seems like a really bad idea, but our working families or childcare credit, anything like that, we do need help. And the good people of America, not the people who can just go,
5K.
Shit out a kid.
Trump gave me 5K.
Yeah, quite Arius now. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like Trump floats these ideas out. It says Trump mulls a 5K baby bonus. We really need to have our voices heard when the mulling happens, because this is not how you do it. You have to offer massive tax rebates.
Exactly. And then exactly like you said, when Trump's mulling, that's where we have to voice our opinions, and then he'll go, not everyone liked that.
Yeah, I'm mulling differently now.
Yeah, mull something else.
Yeah.
All right, next story. Trump signed an executive order that is attempting to remove disparate impact liability. Richard Rappoy is going to explain what that means.
Yeah, he signed the executive order restoring equality of opportunity and meritocracy. And its main focus was disparate impact liability, which is something that people use to sue the government or sue, and this is on the federal level, right? They use it to sue the government over like unfair housing practices, unfairness in education or in employment, things like that, right?
But fundamentally, it's about like racism. Is that correct?
Yes.
Like, okay.
Well, that's where it's mostly used. So we've covered some of these examples in the show over the past where, here, let me pull up one example just to kind of, so this is saying like unequal outcomes between racial groups means that there's racism. That's what usually is happening when someone uses the disparate impact clause. Like, hey, you guys hired 50% of the white people who applied, but you only hired 15% of the black people who applied to this job for the federal government. That means racism. When in reality, it likely means that a lot of the white people were actually qualified while the black people weren't or had lower qualifications. So I remember we covered this one specifically. New Jersey ends basic reading and writing skills test requirement for teachers. And that was a group of black and Latino teachers who failed the test and couldn't become a teacher in New Jersey. They sued the state of New Jersey, I believe, or the public school system. I can't remember at this point. and they won, and they got like all this money for back pay if they would have been hired, and they couldn't pass the fucking test. So it's not like
They're not passing the test. They said it was racism instead of meritocracy, where it's just like if you can't pass, you can't teach.
because white people passed at a higher rate. And so it's not like someone's like, I'll never hire a black person in this New Jersey school district in my life. It's not that. It's not boss hog and racism. It's just you didn't pass the test, right? And so removing disparate impact liability at the federal level, which this executive order aims to do, would eliminate a lot of these like excuses to get a money grab from the
A
government.
lot of lawsuits would not be able to go through.
Here's another one. Wells Fargo racial disparity case heads to class action decisions. Lawyers say 119,000 people denied mortgages could seek relief. The bank disputed claims credit scoring algorithm hurt minorities. So if enough black people apply for a mortgage and they don't get it, it must be because they're black, right? It has nothing to do with their income, their FICO, all these other factors. It's because Wells Fargo's there's a big white guy in an all-white suit, cotton, and he oversees it, and he smokes a cigar, and he goes, no, no, no. So that's what we're talking about when we say disparate impact, right?
Yeah.
Let's go over, here's a thing from Ibram X. Kendi. When I see racial disparities, I see racism. And then here's the graph here is time spent on homework. Asian putting in like 14 hours a week. Black, obviously the lowest. White putting in a medium, and Hispanic putting in close to that. So that's the thing, like grades. This is what they're talking about. Disparate impact on the results when there's a disparate effort put into it, right?
And that's what they say also about our prison system. Oh, all the black people in jail means racism, when it's just, no, black people are doing more crimes disproportionately.
Did they punch the old lady? Did they steal the car?
You just want him in jail because he's black.
There's more black people than whites per capita in jail, and therefore that's racism. Here's another example. Oregon again says students don't need to prove mastery of reading, writing, or math to graduate, citing harm to students of color. So yeah, I don't know, guys. This is a big win if it's kind of implemented. And again, the way federal district judges are ruling on things, who knows what happens. Mm-hmm. But this is one of the most egregious, like weird ways that courtrooms and money grabbers get together to kind of rip off the American taxpayer, because that's who usually pays for it at the federal level, for sure. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's a good improvement, and it shows that someone on Trump's team is really paying attention to what actually matters.
Exactly.
Right?
And I didn't fully know what disparate impact means, but I added this last asset as maybe an example. Can you give that a read?
NBC Sports California reportedly advised athletics play-by-play announcer to pause between Nick and Kurtz when referring to the newly called-up prospect during broadcasts in order to avoid any unfortunate mishaps.
Hey, now you can say it fast.
Nick Kurtz.
Now you can say Nick Kurtz fast, because Trump has our back.
That disproportionately affected white people, pronunciating his name.
Pronunciating, exactly. All right, let's move on to our next story about China. Turns out, we showed you guys last week that story about Toys R Us and kind of the inner workings in private equity when it comes to like a struggling big business like that. Mm-hmm. And now we have some inner workings discussed about our schools and how China has a hand in the ownership.
Yeah, and this lady's what, like a private equity hound dog? She's
That's
obsessed.
the same lady,
yeah,
right?
I think so. She's obsessed with what private equity is doing. I like her.
We like her too.
All of the politicians have kids in private school for their safety, not because they're elitist. It's for their safety. They're in some of the most elite private schools in the United States, in every state in the United States. Do you know who acquired the largest collection of private school, like super elite private schools in the United States?
Who?
It sounds Italian. Primavera Private Equity. Do you want to know who they're owned by?
Who?
The Chinese Communist Party is literally in control of the most elite prep schools in the United States and the curriculum being taught to our politicians' children.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Also, Primavera.
Primavera.
That sounds like a dish with ham on it.
Yeah, and it says Primavera Capital, a China-based private equity firm, paid about $500 million for the Stratford school system, which operates schools throughout California. So
That's interesting. A lot of the politicians' kids go there. They get brainwashed even better.
Yeah, and I'm sure they slowly trickle out anything critical of China in their history books. Tiananmen Square, gone.
China, not so bad as you think.
Not so bad. We deserve the whole ocean floor. That belonged to China.
All right, let's move on to our migrant section. We have a lot.
Okay, we're moving quick.
We're moving quick, but the information is passed on. I don't have a lot to say. I don't know a lot about it. Primavera sounds like an Italian dish. Yeah. I don't know, pasta primavera.
I think it is, right?
Yeah, it is. Okay. It's weird they picked that. They were trying to it sound not Chinese. Spring roll. Primavera.
You know what would be better? If you were Chinese, you pick a Korean-sounding name. Like the Lee. Or actually, that might not be. Young?
Yeah, Young.
Young is Korean.
That's Korean. Nice job.
You can't leap from Chinese to Italian. Then we go, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
If you pretend to be Chinese and then go to Korea or like Laotian or something, you might be able to sneak by.
The Parmesan equity firm.
I don't think so, brother. Check them. Check their papers.
Sounds a little on the nose.
Yeah. We know Italians don't do private equity.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Our next section is our migrant section. Before we get to our gross Indians part of it, we do have a bad story about a migrant who killed 2 teenagers because they were drunk driving.
Yeah, this is a combination of migrants who's on the road with us, which we've been constantly talking about, and then illegals killing American citizens. Bill Malugan reports, he said exclusive, the families of 2 teens killed by an illegal alien who crashed into them while drunk, high, and speeding at 100 miles per hour in Orange County in 2021 have been told by the state of California that their killer will be released from prison early in July, just 3.5 years into a 10-year sentence for killing the teens who both burned alive. Oscar Eduardo Ortega and Guiano. They always have so many
Too many
names, guys.
We know.
A twice-deported Mexican illegal alien had a lengthy rap sheet prior to killing 19-year-olds Anya Varfolomev and Nikolai Osokin in the DUI crash on the 405 in Seal Beach in 2021. Both were U.S. citizens. They sound Russian. They might have been, first generation or, and they were dating. Ortega and Guiano had several felony convictions, had gone to state prison, and had multiple convictions for driving without a license, but was still on the streets when he crashed into the teen's vehicle. In spring of 2022, Ortega was convicted in Orange County of 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated for killing the teens. Judge sentenced him to 10 years in prison for each count, but concurrently, meaning he would serve both 10-year sentences at the same time. The victims' families felt that was already a weak sentence, but they tell me they were notified by the Department of Corrections on Easter Sunday that Ortega is scheduled for an early release in July, only a little more than 3 years into his sentence. The victims' families are shocked and outraged given the seriousness of the crime and his prior criminal history, which is actually the most important part.
He has so much criminal history and then drunk driving and driving without a license, and he kills 2 teenagers, and you get 3.5 years for killing 2 teenagers?
Sentence and early release aside, he's already a felon, and what do you do with an illegal alien felon in California? You send him to state prison and then let him out.
Look at this nice couple, too.
I know.
That's so sad.
Nice Russian or Eastern European people.
And you kill 2 teenagers, and then what, you do 1.5 years each?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it comes down to?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to even say what I think should happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Drunk drive into him and then go to jail for a year.
Yeah, except you'd get charged with 15, and you'd have to serve all 15.
You know? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like if you were the parents, you drunk drive into him, get him back, and then you go to jail for like a year and we'll let you out. Doesn't work. I have a feeling it doesn't work that way.
And this is the thing that we've been saying too. We get some wins on the federal level, but states are still doing their same old bullshit. California, all these brutally leftist run states are still on their bullshit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so, make that consideration when you're thinking about moving or where you want to set up your family or your business, because you can get fucked by something like this.
All right, let's lighten the mood. Let's shake that energy out, and let's lighten the mood with our gross Indian section.
All right.
Let's
have some fun here.
Let's have some fun. First, Sugarland, Texas.
Yeah.
Texas. They're building a giant Indian statue. Can't play this music. They have some Indian music over it. We're not going to play that for you guys. But look at this giant statue, and this is deep in the heart of Texas.
Stars at night and Vishnu's bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. And this is 9 stories tall. It's all gold, very gaudy, you know? But then again, that's what Trump does too. But this is some sort of half mutant, half man, half dog face hybrid, and the squirrel's there too.
It's like a demon.
Yeah, it's a demon. This is who Vivek Ramaswamy prays to.
Yeah, Vivek likes it.
But yeah, I don't know.
Texas isn't Texas.
They're taking over.
We're learning that, and then we're also going to find that out depending on what happens with Carmelo Anthony. We're going to find out if Texas is still Texas.
I think it's losing. It's losing its vigor, and they're trying to. What didn't we report on the Muslim town that wanted to be in Texas too?
Yeah.
So you got the Vishnu. I'm making that up. I don't know what fucking this guy's name is. You got the giant 9-story statue. You got Muslims trying to make a Muslim-only community. You got Carmelo Anthony possibly walking free on a fake self-defense case. We're on high alert for Texas.
Anti-white. It's all anti-white, all those things, all the migrants.
Yep.
All right, next we found...
Not to mention, and that's not even to mention the insanely fast-growing Hispanic population in Texas.
Yeah.
From the invasion. So
Bad.
yeah.
Texas was supposed to be one of our last strongholds.
And Texas still did really well electorally, but there's just so much space to shove in some foreigners that they can't resist it, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, next is a clip from an Indian swimming hole.
Absolute slop pile. Disgusting. Floating debris.
Isn't that you right there? Isn't that you in your exact body?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah, that's me. That looks like me.
That looks exactly like
me.
you with no shirt.
Yep.
All right, next we have a Indian river.
No points to make there?
Nah, this is all related.
Oh, that's
Here's their trash
There's
river.
No water, it's only trash. This is insane. They're actually making all the shirts.
This is Bangladesh.
And clothes here. That's why.
So that's their neighbor.
And it's a trash river. And if you look at it, that's why they want to come here.
I know.
Because they don't take care of anything. They just throw their trash on the ground. They shit on the ground. They don't take care of anything. They want to come to a country where the white people take care of everything. And they go, oh, wow, there's no trash river here. And then they go down to the river and then they throw their trash and they don't care. They didn't change their behavior. They just want to come to a place that is taken care of because they couldn't take care of their own place.
And these type of people, like, we've shown them, cast netting and taking way over the allotment of fish that you're allowed to and throwing their trash in. They will do that here.
It's like a free-for-all.
Yeah.
And like some people do the thing like on Halloween where you leave a candy bowl out and say, take one, or you could even have like a high-trust neighborhood that has a bunch of pies in a fridge and says like, oh, leave the money and take a pie.
Yeah.
They would go and go, oh, the whole pie fridge. They left it right here.
Today,
Take
right
them
now.
all. Call up Vishnu.
Yeah.
Oh, get here with your truck. Load this thing up. These people just left it.
Yeah.
As if like they just discovered like a beehive full of honey.
Yeah.
Oh, we can just take it all. It's right here. Yeah. That's kind of the energy. And then this next clip, this guy's, at least he's brushing his teeth.
You're brushing teeth with the river. It's clean. Clean enough for toothbrush. What are you using in your hand? What's that? Toothpaste. That's toothpaste? Oh, okay. Indian toothpaste. Okay.
He's brushing his teeth with dirt in a river. At least he's brushing. I guess that counts.
And I think I saw some people do some analysis on Indians' rivers, like the poop particles. There's like a particles per million.
It's too many.
It's like insane. And the people bathe in there. And
It's way too many poop particles per million.
I don't know. And I don't know. I don't even want to. I don't care about the cause or why is it like that there. I just don't want them here.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
But if they come, they can do cool street performances like in this next clip. Jumps over. Didn't quite make it. You're not very good at it.
Someone's entire jaw is broken.
So you can come to America and do that in Times Square and stomp the head of some American kid.
Perfect. Can't wait.
Wouldn't that be lucky? And then a couple.
Wake up, you go to the river, throw your trash in, you brush your teeth, then you come and stomp some American kid's head.
Exactly.
It's a great future.
Yeah, they like it. And then we, a couple episodes ago, we're saying send us your examples of like Indians doing gross stuff in your workplace in your normal countries. Mm-hmm. And we got a couple. Yeah,
this person DM'd me and said, typical sign in public restrooms in San Francisco, Indians really blow shit all over the toilets. I do fire life safety inspections on a lot of buildings in the city and have a lot of friends that are stationary engineers. Consensus is Indians love playing with their shit.
We knew that.
And so the sign is don't squat on, it's showing them how to shit on the toilet. And then it says, like, so they squat over it. They put their feet on the seat.
And there's an angle there where they're kind of just like lobbing it in.
Yeah, they blow out.
It doesn't work.
And then
you get back in the toilet and you're the next guy and someone else just shit all over it. So I'm not going to sit on that.
So you go farther away. So then eventually there's a shit like pile. If you get enough foreigners, there's a shit trail. And eventually the janitor comes in at 9 p.m. and it's like, oh my God.
This is my least favorite floor.
Yeah, quit my job.
You get it on your hand, you wipe it on the wall. Yeah. That's how they do it. And then this is another one. Do not use urinals for foot cleaning. Is that for... Is that for us?
This was in Canada. And so do not use... so apparently several people were cleaning their feet in the urinals. And that's just... I don't know. What do they think it is? Water comes out.
It's just a really convenient water collection. You can piss in it or... I mean, you need water, there's water there.
Yep.
What do you need water for? Put your feet in there. Yeah, it fits.
Very fascinating. So,
and then, like you said, that was in Canada, where obviously there are way too many Indians already. And then the Institute of Canadian Leadership is putting up posters around Toronto advocating mass immigration. Here's how they depict Canadians who are angry that our hospitals are being overwhelmed. Can you?
Yeah, it says immigrants are clogging up the ER, and then the other guy says, especially the nurses. And then this guy's at the ER because he got his hand stuck in a Pringles can. And these two white people are so stupid, according to this poster, that the ER's crowded for other reasons. It's got nothing to do with that. And these people are borderline retarded, right?
Yeah, and they're stupid and they're ignorant. And those Indians are more Canadian than you, brother.
And it says immigrants are our history and our future.
And this is from the Institute of Canadian Citizenship.
Institute for Canadian Leadership.
This is from the Institute of Canadian Leadership. And if you look at who's on the board of that, what does it say?
Ifran Rawji, Martin Katz, Zaim Mamdani, and Khalil Shafir. That's who the board is doing the propaganda. And then they get a great name like the Institute for Canadian Leadership. And you assume it's all these Canadian guys who do it. We're the Institute for Canadian Leadership. And it's just an Indian propaganda laundering firm with one Jewish guy. Crazy. So that's what you have to do with these propaganda pieces against white people in their own countries. You know, you can't even be mad. We're going to start a whole 501c3. I don't know what it's called in Canada, doing posters of you, mocking you until you let in infinity migrants forever. And then when they get here, you have to tell them not to shit on the floor, or you have to tell them not to wash their feet in the urinal. These guys all figured it out. They're at the top of the institute. Mm-hmm. But the people who they bring in don't necessarily figure it out.
They're the people that come in leave the trash river to come to Toronto. It's probably way better. And then I saw a meme that was pretty interesting. Can you read that? It
says, allow me to explain your country's identity to you and how it includes me.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about your own country's identity and what they're up to? And the trash river and the shit everywhere, the particles per million, poop rivers. We include you.
Yeah. And there's an interesting thing that I've noticed with the Indian immigrants and then the Indian discourse, especially online, because people from the country of India are all over the internet, is most immigrant groups try to kind of sneak under the radar and just go, oh, I'll keep my head down and I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. There's more like verbal wordplay with the Indians coming in than there are with any other group, trying to justify their invasion. You need us for your tech jobs. And actually, there's this thing I've been kind of seeing across my timeline recently where companies post these H-1B type jobs and they're posted kind of in a hidden way where they don't want much attention. And I think there's some qualification. I'm going to get this for the next episode because I think we'll talk about it then. But there's a way where if Americans don't apply to it, then they can hire an H-1B. And so they post these job postings with like no fanfare and kind of like try to just zip it under the radar. Like, here's this job posting.
Well, 1 a.m.
Yeah.
on a Friday night.
Push it out.
No one wants it? Okay.
I found this Twitter account who's posting these jobs, and he has a word for them. But if enough Americans apply for each of these jobs, then you can't legally hire an H-1B worker to do it. So I want to dig into that a little more. But there's like, corporate level, everyone, and we've shown the boardrooms full of companies who are just all Indian people and they all do H-1B. So they're more sneaky and more aggressive and will argue for it. And when you say that meme, allow me to explain your country's identity and how it includes me, that's a lot of them. They'll say, no, America was always built. America was always an idea. It wasn't forged over 5 wars and fought with the blood and sweat of your ancestors. It's just a big idea. So, I don't know.
That's a good point.
I got too off track there, but...
No, you cooked.
We'll come back to that H-1B thing.
All right, that's a good point. That's the end of our migrants section and end of our disgusting Indian section. We're now moving on to the final page of housekeeping. Before we get there, special message from Farmer Bills. Guys, a recent study shows that 90% of Americans are not hitting their daily protein threshold. If you're a show watcher, you need to be strong and you need to be hitting your protein goals. But that's not always easy when you're working hard and on the go. Well, Farmer Bills has your back. Boost your T levels, stay full longer, and hit your daily protein goals with Farmer Bills air-dried biltong. All other beef companies lace their beef with soy and lab chemicals, but Farmer Bill is a show watcher and knows what's up. No soy, no MSG, no nitrates, and no artificial flavors. His meat snacks are cured with apple cider vinegar, sea salt, and herbs and spices. Me and Richard Rapway are constantly eating these on the go because they are the cleanest snack out there. Grab some today and use the new code FLECKUS20 at checkout for 20% off. That's the biggest discount I've seen from Farmer Bill to date. I recommend the bestseller bundle because you get 4 packs of the sliced biltong, original and spicy chili flavor, a half-pound slab, and 2 grass-fed tallow bombs, which are great to keep your skin moisturized and healthy. FLECKUS20 is the new code. It's linked in the description. Thank you to Farmer Bill for sponsoring. Let's get into the final page of housekeeping.
Farmer Bill's Provisions, the perfect protein snack.
All right, thank you to Farmer Bills.
Thank you, Farmer Bill.
Guys, we're doing keto and you know it, and we're eating a lot of Farmer Bills.
Yep.
I love Farmer Bills. It tastes so good. It's the best. And I'm not just saying that. Compared to all the other jerky, it 100% is the best jerky I've ever had. All right, let's get into our final page of housekeeping. There's lots to talk about. Juice and Tickle, help us out there. P.O. Box, notifications, all that stuff. Let's get to our first story. This family is walking down the street, and look what happens.
Oh.
See that?
Manhole explosion.
And everyone narrowly escapes. And it just proves we all have a destiny. We need to trust God.
Okay, that's your angle?
That's a nice uplifting angle.
Okay.
All right, let's get to our next thing. We're going to go faster. I know we're not running against the clock anymore, that we do longer episodes, but we're going to pace through. Someone sent us this AI thumbnail of the Oyster Boys. Fuck Talks a podcast. Iste News podcast.
There you go.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
I don't know. Then someone Muppetized us. Big Joker, who we follow on Twitter. He Muppetized us. Thank you. And then we spoke last episode about the words that are out and then the words that are in instead, because like some words are racist, can't have a powwow, you need to have a meeting. Peanut Gallery, I remember saying, I thought it was like a circus reference. There actually is an explanation to it. Can you explain what Peanut Gallery refers to?
A peanut gallery was, in the days of vaudeville, a nickname for the cheapest and ostensibly rowdiest seats in the theater, the occupants of which were often known to heckle the performers. The least expensive snack served at the theater would often be peanuts, which the patrons would sometimes throw at the performers on stage to convey their disapproval.
And that's what they would say, no comments in the Peanut Gallery. And then also it later says that it was often a place where black people were forced to sit.
Oh, so the black people were rowdy in the theater back in the day, and that's why it makes it racist?
That's what makes it racist. And, you know, black people might get offended if they hear the term Peanut Gallery because they know the ins and outs of the historical context of vaudeville and shit.
Yeah, they really do.
They get offended
They really
by
stay
it.
up on that.
All right, next we have a match size discrepancy in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Back of his knee.
Pause real quick. You see him kind of go like, come on. The guy's you're 4 times his size. He's getting mad that he's not like wrestling him enough. He's trying to like do whatever he can to get you a little bit.
He's mad he's not playing exactly into his hands of once I grapple you, then it's fucking
Just
over.
come in close. All right, here's how it ends.
Tire him out. You can circle to the back of his knees. Don't let the fall on you. Oh my God.
You killed him. And that other guy knew all the moves.
Yeah. And then he crunched him, and he looks like he's holding his lower back. Probably the worst possible injury.
Folded in half mid-back. Not at your hips. You fold it in half right around here. It doesn't really...
Depending on how tall this guy is, this guy looks like 340, 360.
I think he's 400. I think he's like 6'4", 400.
I know. So, I don't know. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and where is this? It looks like a stadium, whatever. I don't know. But there's kind of this thing where you never take this match. And people will be like, yeah, I guess you could fight him. You really have to protect yourself and never take that match.
Never take the match.
The giant, lopsided, no benefit, 400-pound guy. Yeah, right.
All right, next is a video from Australia. And I'm not going to describe it. I want you guys to be blindsided.
Witnesses are recounting some of the drama that unfolded on the Sunshine Coast this afternoon. Two sisters have told how their mother and man raced to help when the carjacked SUV rolled on Steve Irwin Way, only to find the gun-wielding car thief emerging from the wreck. Here's some of what they had to say.
And one guy, he was up there with our mum, and he went up there and he was coming back down towards us, and he goes, run, he's got a gun. And our heart started to pound, and I said, oh, Mum, where's Mum? And poor Mum was stuck up there, but apparently our brave Mum, she goes, are you all right? Because he had all blood all over his face. And he goes, I'll shoot you. She goes, hey, I'm here to help.
And Mum distracted him to make him look the other way, and he looked the other way, and Mum ran into the bush
behind the fence.
And this is real life.
What are we doing here?
That's crazy.
If you're the reporter and like that's how they're answering, you kind of like, boss, I think we got something here. It was a robbery with a gun and the highway with the flipped over car, but
boss, I think we lead with this today.
I think we got something.
Twins filling in each other's words. I think we lead with this. It's very weird. I actually have twin sisters, but they're not like this. They're not identical. But staying so similar so late into your age, like these are like middle age, 40 something.
You don't see them like that.
That's crazy. That's dedication.
They usually go do something else.
I know. They go both get married. These two are stuck.
That's pretty good. All right. Next, we have Linda. Wake Up with Linda got into a fight on Twitter, and shots fired. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. She said she was in beef with some guy who, a little Twitter battle. She said, imagine writing to me, I'm your worst nightmare, and this is what you look like. Ha, ha, ha. Crying face. Ugly. Double chin. Weak. Dorky, and you can tell he can't get laid. Worry about looking like the next mass shooter and less about me. And then we'll reveal the picture there.
Shots fired.
Linda just fucking killed me. Ricochet shot.
Collateral damage. Richard Ratboy under the bus.
I appreciate the fight, Linda, but come on. You have to attack him that hard.
All right, that's good stuff. That's the end of housekeeping. Our last thing, I'm just going to mention this little personal story. I've been fishing in a local pond lately, trying to catch fish. And I do this thing now where I put live bait on a hook, and then I have a bobber, and I send him out. And if he does a good job swimming around, and he really like shows me something, I'll pull him out, take him off, and release him, let him live.
Really?
Yeah, that's nice.
You're a generous God. You're a generous fish God.
So you can earn your way out when you're fishing with me.
Those are the best baits to have, though.
I know.
That, right?
That's true, too. That's true, too. All right, that's the end of housekeeping. We're now moving on to Cringe of the Week. All right, our first clips of Cringe of the Week are kind of not speed round clips, but they're going to be boom, 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 boom. You know, we have a main section about stupid leftist podcasts. We're going to get to that. But we have a couple things we have to show, and some of them are faster than others.
Yeah.
First, we have Nancy Mace versus a trans person.
Does your husband call you babe? Okay, so even better.
I don't care.
Okay, so I would like for you to apologize because that is derogatory, and second of all...
Is tranny derogatory to you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course the fuck it is.
Tranny. Yeah, tranny. If that's derogatory, I'm good.
And grabs the plant, lowers the voice. Yeah, that low voice. That's what you are. And you just proved her point. You didn't get your way and you got mad and you revert back to your male self.
I know. And
It's pretty obvious, pretty simple.
The sleeveless dress, the 15 necklaces, the hat, all to go, to grab a plant and go into Hulk mode. I love this. This is my favorite. They get so mad when someone doesn't play by their little rules that the result of them getting mad is instantly exposing themselves for exactly what the person is calling them out for.
Yeah.
It's like it's an enclosed loop, and you ascend up and you go, I was exactly correct.
You're unstable.
Yeah.
I was right. Yeah. All right, next we have Meltdown versus the cops. I don't know when this happened. I just saw it online going viral, and this lady goes crazy.
To follow every fucking law, but that fucking faggot can leave the fucking scene without a turn signal. Give him a ticket!
Do you need an ambulance?
He doesn't have a turn signal. Give him a ticket!
Do you need to go to the...
Let him fucking get a ticket! He can do whatever he wants!
Okay.
Give him a ticket!
Okay. Can I help you with anything else?
Give him a ticket! Okay, come on!
It's not gonna happen. Anything else we can help you with tonight?
Yeah! Give him a ticket!
Hey, just absolute meltdown. Wonder who she voted for.
Yeah.
Not trans though.
Yeah. That's all you got?
I have nothing.
I was going to say this is the type of person who really abuses a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then he's probably lucky to find this online and go, oh my God, I could use this in my restraining order case or something. But
That's a tough one to be in a relationship with. All right, quick next couple. We have LeBron gets caught. What's it called when you fall on the ground? Flopping.
Yeah.
So he flopped.
Look at him. Watch these. Watch the sheet.
And he's peeking to see if the ref's looking. And then you hear the chirp in the background.
Boy.
Do you hear the smoke detector chirp?
The guy filming it has a smoke detector chirp.
It's all full circle, guys.
Who watches the NBA?
It's all connected.
Yep.
All right, next I have a little bit of an announcement that goes along with this clip. I'll say the announcement first. Guys, the weather's getting good. People are going to be outside more. You maybe do day drinking. The weather's getting better. Everyone's going to be wanting to hang out and wear shorts. You're going to be tempted to jump off the roof of the garage and into the pool that's now open, or maybe jump off the shed onto the trampoline. Just a reminder, we don't need to jump off of anything because it's the summer.
Oh!
Damn, in front of the girls, too.
Yeah. You absolutely snapped your neck, knocked yourself out, and it wouldn't even have been that cool of a move.
It wouldn't have been that cool.
You know how gymnasts, they're always looking to plant their feet? Look at this back in slow motion. He doesn't even have a plan. His feet aren't even going.
Unless you're going to land in in a ball.
Yeah. Hospital time, brother.
So then 20 minutes later, you have a beer and you're all messed up. And you're like, yeah, that was me. You're done.
The darty just turned into a hospital visit, brother.
All right, let's get into our bad podcast section. We have a bunch of good clips here. First, we have Elizabeth Warren getting pressed about Joe Biden's mental capacity.
Yeah, and I want to preface this a little bit. This whole section is just checking in on the other side, checking in on the enemy. What are they up to? What are they talking about? What are the subjects they're chewing on? Because we have to, midterms, things like power shifts, and we got to make sure they're not gaining too much steam. So,
yep.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline. And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. The thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him. Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet. is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right.
And
Fair
he couldn't
enough.
even speak
Fair
in
enough.
sentences.
Yeah.
And then she's almost breaking character like Jimmy Kimmel used to on SNL.
Yeah. Or Jimmy Fallon, right?
Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, and that's the funny part about this is she's lying about lying. She still won't even tell the truth now retroactively about the Joe Biden thing. She's saying he was sharp, he was this, and my personal things. It's like, we all know it. The jig is up now. You can admit it, and she won't. And it's an easy way to earn points. Like, we thought we could play it down. We knew he had a good staff around him. You can kind of say a thing that isn't necessarily great for the Democratic Party, but will make you look okay now and be a truth teller. We're like, we thought he could make it, and we had to pull the plug eventually.
He came and went.
Yeah.
There were times he was good. It flowed, you know?
But she's lying about lying. And at the end of this clip, she goes, well, we just got to focus on the future now.
Yeah.
As if you could just forget. That's the same thing after COVID, after like the global financial crisis in 2008, or like all these issues. We just got to focus on the future.
Yeah.
And it's like we do need to litigate and look into what we've done in the past a little bit, right?
Yeah, and we caught a freeze frame here that kind of sums it up. Him being like, and her being with that bullshit face.
And I know nothing about that guy or that podcast, but that was, I'm surprised he even pressed her at all.
Pressed her. That was good. All right, next we have a podcast that's supposed to be pretty popular where they had a trans person on.
Pod Save America. These are the guys who ran Obama's campaign and have been coasting on that high ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have advice for people in this moment who might be horrified by what they're seeing but a little scared?
I think there's fear both around repercussions and just fear that it doesn't matter. One, I think that there is strength in numbers. My dad likes to say, this is a classic Joe Bidenism, quoting my dad, but he does genuinely say this. I'm not just making up a quote from my dad and saying it's my father.
Your dad said, hey, there are two guys kissing in 1952.
Wilmington, Delaware,
Yeah.
classic San Francisco mecca of the
Right.
1950s. My dad likes to say that if everyone has just a little bit of courage, then no one has to be a hero. But if folks are speaking out, if folks are marching and protesting right now, for the most part, you're safe. You can do it. And if you do it and your neighbor does it and your neighbor's neighbor does it, it's going to give a backbone and a sense of momentum to other people who just need that extra little push.
So, just a couple dudes doing a podcast.
3 dudes doing a podcast, acting like everything's normal. And that's like one of their most popular podcasts.
Yeah.
So,
and then he, what's his real name? Peter?
You're kind of bad with that.
I am. I just say, I don't
Tim.
know.
Timmy.
So
Timmy.
Congressman Tim
McBride.
He's basically saying that, like, oh, crazy people are running the world and us normal people need to speak up. And it's like, yeah, you got the whole thing backwards, but you're right. Like, you're correct. You got it all backwards. You're the dude in a dress. You're part of the people who have taken over, and then the normal people need to stand up and oppose that.
Yeah.
So you're
farmers, teachers, regular people.
So you're correct.
Yeah.
It's just you got it completely backwards and upside down.
Yep.
And then the whole point to that too about speaking up, it's like what he's referring to and doesn't understand is like everyone doesn't speak up because they don't want to be called transphobic or homophobic or racist. Hey, I don't want to push back against the migrant camp down the road because I don't want to lose my job or lose my teacher job. And that's who actually does need to speak up.
Yeah.
So it's like the advice is true. We need everyone to speak up for what's right, and what's wrong is very blatant in front of us.
Yep.
All right, let's get to our next clip, which is Michelle Obama's podcast.
The new hit podcast with very low views.
With brother Obama as well.
We don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
There's that
we
part.
knew, I think we would care. If we knew.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
That's enough. We get what they're up to. But how about she says Black women don't articulate their pain enough? That's like as if you guys aren't airing your grievances constantly and yelling, repeating something and yelling in a store over and over. You guys don't air your issues enough?
It's one of those podcasts that really just says nothing. They're just yapping about if people knew about what we were vaguely going through and all these things.
Give me back my phone. Give me back my phone. Give me back my phone.
They love to talk in that way. Like our podcast, when you look at it, it's like based on a very specific incident. And then here are the broader themes that are around that very specific incident. they have broad themes around implied incidents. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, they have broad, like, and of course we all face discrimination.
Yeah. Police
and
are
it's
killing
like, when,
us.
where, who, what happened?
Police are killing us. It's
But-
like, well, does that happen a lot? It's George Floyd. It's like,
the
well,
time.
that one was kind of up for debate.
And you really milked that one, right?
That one wasn't even a real clean example.
That kind of got the most global attention of any news story from that year, and that was the year of COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really are saying nothing. And if you watch this clip a little longer, it's just like nodding and agreeing to nothing.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
I like it. John Legend did a podcast interview. Here's what he said.
Why do you think that he's latched on to diversity so much?
Oh, he's a bigot. So
About Trump, obviously.
it's a belief that there's a hierarchy of racial groups and that his group is superior, genetically superior. He believes that.
Right.
Whenever he talks about competence and qualifications, any white man will do for him. Look at the last guy who was Secretary of Defense. He was a 4-star general, supremely qualified black man. And then see who he puts in after him.
Yeah, so John Legend could get an MSNBC show.
I know, he's on his way. Actually,
I bet that happens soon. But he thinks Trump believes white people are the best and there's white supremacy. So is he saying there's no hierarchy?
Everyone's equal, brother.
Everyone's exactly equal. You pull a random Somali guy and a random guy from the Netherlands, and they're the same smarts, the same mental capacity, the same rationale, the same thought processes.
Same emotional control. Same with a guy from Papua New Guinea and a guy from Norway. Everyone's exactly the same. Even a Japanese scientist and some random Mexican guy. They're exactly the same.
Exactly. And the only reason the white guy is doing better than the random Mexican guy or Somali guy is because the white guy had privilege and he had an opportunity to be educated.
Yeah, there's disparate impact. Where can I sue?
Yeah, exactly. So it's very interesting to see that conversation because what you're implying, it's like if you call someone a white supremacist, you're saying that's wrong because everyone's exactly the same. Yeah. And obviously that's not the case. And we have another clip here. We've shown one of these clips on Bonus Land with this interview, but this guy describes the problem with a lot of African countries.
You're trying to say that, from what I'm understanding, in third world countries, anything that is not under maintenance is because, we don't care.
No, you care. It's not in the concept. Travel the 54 countries in Africa and ask each person in every country, what is wrong with your country? Leadership. All of you say the same word. So let me ask you, since 1960, the country has been picking the wrong leader every 4 years. Not a single railway built by the British is in Nigeria today. But the one they built in their country that same year, it's still running. Not a single railway built in Ghana in 1960 is still there today. What do you know in that country that has been properly maintained by the people every day and it works perfectly?
It's hard for people to maintain things when they're not gaining a lot.
No, it's hard for people to maintain things when they don't have the concept of maintenance in their culture. What is the one word?
It's pretty interesting. Yeah. And he goes on to say, what's the word in whatever language for maintenance? And there is no word.
Which is crazy.
I mean, a lot of those countries obviously feed into America, so they come here and they don't maintain things. It's not part of their culture, but they come to a place that's been maintained. They go, oh, this is sick. I throw my trash on the ground, someone else picks it up. And then it kind of makes you realize, if you extrapolate that further, the decaying houses in Detroit.
Yeah.
No maintenance.
Yeah.
And I'll even take it even further.
Go for it.
The smoke detector beep, because there's no batteries. That's maintenance.
And that's the easiest maintenance that there is.
And that's maintenance. Oh, yeah, every 18 months, you got to throw a new AA battery in there to maintain the smoke detector function.
There's a documentary, if you guys want to go search it and watch it. It's called Empire of Dust. And it follows these Chinese guys who are trying to do like reindustrialization in Africa. And in the Congo. And there's a bunch of examples where there's actually some famous kind of memes from the movie where the guy's like explaining this, like the no maintenance, like people brought bridges, they brought railways, and you didn't learn, your country didn't do it. And there's all these little weird differences, like the native Africans like steal gas, and the workers need like a supervisor just to make sure they're working. And there's all these little things when you see how bad it is, and whether it's cultural or, in it's more racial, whatever inclinations they have. It's just very stark differences between the Chinese guy. Like there's a guy who has a truck full of gravel and he's supposed to come and he just never comes. Like there's all these weird little things where it shows you. And then if the gravel guy doesn't come, then you lose a day of work, and then it just piles on top of each other. And ultimately it ends in a country in disarray that can't fend for itself and doesn't have these nice things that they should.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a good example. And also the example you said last episode where you had an American friend who planted a blackberry bush knowing it would make blackberries in 2 years. Mm-hmm. That's planning ahead. But then a migrant comes from Somalia and goes, ooh, blackberry bush, eats all the blackberries at once.
Yeah.
This is sick. Where'd this come from? I don't know. I better just take it all now while I got it instead of planning ahead.
Yep.
Very interesting. All right, that's the end of Cringe of the Week. We're now moving on to Urban Decay. All right, in Urban Decay, we have a few sections. We have a bad school section, we have a pepper spray season section, and then we have a gun season section.
Okay.
So you can kind of
escalates.
It escalates.
School to prison pipeline to pepper spray pipeline to gun section.
So first, there is a fight with a bunch of 15-year-olds, and it ends in a stabbing.
It's mostly blurred, but
it's interesting because one of the kids who gets stabbed, the kid in red, he came in to help the guy, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he came in and broke the fight up because the guy was getting punched while he was on the ground, and then he gets stabbed. The white guy gets stabbed for that.
No.
No?
The red guy was pounding on him, and then the white guy helped him, and then he allowed the other kid to come in and knife him.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So the guy got up off the ground and started stabbing. There's a picture of him
with the knife.
Yeah.
And
these are 15-year-olds. Lots of knife play lately.
15-year-olds looking a little Hispanic, looking a little brown. And I saw someone post about this, and they said, "Oh, nobody's going to bring it. No right-wing influencers are going to bring attention to this because they're not the right color or it's not black." And then, need I remind you who's second on all the charts?
Yeah.
Here's the firearm homicide rate, just as a proxy for violence. Hispanic is always number 2. You guys know that, right?
We'll bring attention to it.
And nothing against every Hispanic, but they are number 2 by a lot all the time on every chart.
In all the violent categories.
Yeah, so that's they're number 2. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that.
That's a good point.
But yeah, West Potomac. I'm sure that's a school where if you look back at the history, it was 99% white back in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
And it just went downhill fast.
And now the Hispanics are stabbing people in the schools.
It was founded in 1985, Fairfax County, Virginia. Nice part of the country.
Virginia, one of our first states.
Mm-hmm.
See how I knew that?
Well, yeah, that's original colony, brother. Yeah. If you didn't know that, I'd put you in the brown category on this chart.
All right, next we have a fight in school where the teacher gets jumped, but then the teacher is also kind of fighting back in a weird way that doesn't make sense for a teacher.
Security's right there. But then the teacher's punching a little.
Oh, shit! Oh! 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 Oh!
The guy comes in to calm him down with a broken arm, and you're like, I wonder how that happened at this school.
That was last week.
But yeah, it goes on like this for a while.
But pretty chaotic in the classroom.
Trying to knock out a substitute or something, a random teacher.
And then he fights back.
Crazy.
Security's right there, and they can't help. They need more security.
They kind of deserve each other.
Yeah, and then we have some stats here I thought were interesting, too. K-12 public schools spent $17,280 per pupil. Homeschooling costs about $1,000 a year. Only about 33% of public school students are literate. About 99% of homeschoolers are literate. Isn't that pretty much summing it up?
The $1,000 a year, there might be some opportunity cost, though, if you have to be home and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure a lot of it's online.
But you know, it's one of those things, the type of people who go to school just for the babysitting of it, they don't care about reading. And the type of people who homeschool are the type who care about the results.
Yep. And then we're
self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Exactly. Self-fulfilling. And now we're moving on to our pepper spray season. And it's pepper spray season because no one wants to arrest deranged street rats or criminal blacks. So now you're involved. Now you're in charge of street enforcement. We have a couple of funny. Well, this is a funny one. This guy just says, "Bro, I just want to get some Chinese food." You got World War Z.
You got the Walking Dead guy blocking the Chinese place. And he probably makes eye contact with you and starts tweaking again.
Yeah, but you can spray that guy with pepper spray. No one's going to call the cops. He has no rights.
All right. I got a main pepper spray. We brought up pepper spray season last episode, and I got a main thesis here. I don't want to waste the pepper spray on the cracked out guy.
Okay, well, here's another one that could get pepper sprayed. He's got his pants down. Boom!
Oh, who's he swinging on?
Just some girl on a scooter.
A woman on a scooter. Sucker punch. Yep.
So
that's not a situation that I think you could. I mean, obviously you could pepper spray that guy, but that's a jump off. That's like a random thing. You can't even really expect that. You don't drive on the scooter and go in his eyes
true.
Randomly anticipating a knockout.
And then if he punches you, you could escalate and maybe shoot him, but then you don't want to just like shoot some homeless guy on the way to brunch.
Of course not. Let's play this one. This is the clip that led me and you to bring in pepper spray season. You kind of switched the order there on me, which is fine. But this is the clip where think about having pepper spray in this situation versus not. Some sort of confrontation with a bunch of bikers who obviously were acting out of line.
Put your fist down. Tommy, no.
No, back up.
Hey,
back up.
All right.
Back up.
This guy's confronting him.
Drop my shit right now. Drop my shit right now. Drop my shit right now. Drop my shit right now.
Hey, buddy, I'm okay.
Drop it right now.
Sucker punch attempt.
We're down.
Skateboard hammer over the head. He runs.
Pussy! Pussy!
Sucker punch again.
Back up.
Hysteric woman comes in. You get the point.
Yeah, great time for pepper spray. You're outnumbered by a bunch of teenagers. You can spray them and kind of get away. You don't have to kill a 15-year-old black kid while walking in the park. You have to hire a defense lawyer and become the next Derek Chauvin. So you can avoid that. You can spray them. A more important point that I saw from this, you see the woman getting involved?
You never hold anyone back or get in the way. You just step aside. It
Ladies,
always hurts.
You always step aside because you got him sucker punched. You got him hit. You're actually not holding him back. You're just making him more of a hittable target. And then it's like, okay, trust his leadership. If he's in a situation where they're getting into a fight and he needs to protect you and himself, trust his leadership. And if he doesn't do a good job protecting you and himself, then don't date him anymore.
Yeah.
You know? But if you get in the way, now you've made him a target and you didn't protect yourself and you thought you knew better and now everyone's in trouble. So you undermined him.
For sure. That's a good point. And so for these roving bands of like urban youths who are doing bike wheelies where they turn out of the way at the last time or they're hogging up the road and kind of being a nuisance, when you get into a fight with them and it's 6-on-1, it's like wrestling a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it. They like this. It gets them off. They go, ha ha, goofy, goofy. They say some urban slang and shit, right? And they go, aha. They film it. They laugh. And then it emboldens them for the next time to keep terrorizing people. If you're just a guy who goes, hey, like, stop, don't touch me. And you go, tss, 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 pepper spray, 3-piece, quick. They're all yelling.
You can't get made fun of if they're pepper sprayed.
You can't get hit in the head with a skateboard if you pepper sprayed someone. They can't do it. They can maybe do one wild swing before they go, and go down. And then it also takes them down a peg the next time they're going to harass some nice family on a bridge who has more to lose than they do.
They take a week off when they get pepper sprayed.
I say 10 to 14 days they take off where they're not really harassing.
Nah, let's not hit the streets again, man. Let's just watch a movie.
I got sprayed last time. All right, and then here's the other example. So pepper spray, obviously when someone comes up with you 2 handguns, it goes like this. That's not pepper spray time. But what we're advocating for is the getting louder, getting threatening, menacing pepper spray time. Because at that point you could just go, all right, I'm de-escalating this right now.
And you spray them. They're not going to call the cops.
Yes.
If the cops do show up, by the time they get there, the pepper spray person is probably fine.
The people who are eligible for pepper spray aren't the types of people who call the police to intervene on their behalf.
Exactly. They're street rats.
The biker gang of kids.
Yeah.
So,
officer, there was an incident.
Here's another example. This is a tow truck, and he's got a guy's car up on the tow, and watch how he reacts. So the guy's holding something. He's looking to
threatening. He's menacing.
He's looking to bop you on the head like a fucking Looney Tunes.
Just spray him in the face.
So you just spray him, and he actually goes, ah. And they don't really know what happened at first, and they kind of drop the thing that they're holding, right? And you don't have to worry about if he's going to hit you or how much it escalates. If a guy's like this, he already escalated to the point where you can spray him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The thesis is I actually ordered some pepper spray.
And he gave me one.
I got one for Fleckus too. And, women should already be having pepper spray. But I don't think we're going to need to use it. We live in a nice area. We're not really slumming it out there. But it is a good thing. I think it's a nice tool, and I think it probably feels pretty good to do it.
Yeah.
I think it feels pretty good to neutralize someone who's at the peak of their anger, and then they go down. Here's an example of what it looks like in the wild. You can find a million videos of pepper spray in action. It does something like on a more animal level, where the people are just like, whatever I was doing before is done, and I'm like holding my hands in my eyes and going away now. So watch this. Girl with a hammer. She's already hitting people with a hammer.
And pepper sprayed her already.
I know. And you just get up in her eye and look at her. She's running away, doesn't care about the hammer anymore.
She can't even turn back to face you.
There's no one last swing or anything. It's just a pure de-escalator.
It's a good call.
And it sucks for her for hours, but you don't want to act tough. You don't want to get in a fist fight with urban youths, but you want to go tss, tss, tss. And I think pepper spray is kind of the give you time to get away, get my family out of here tool. And I think it's an important tool in the toolbox, considering they let schizophrenic repeat criminals out on the street all the time. If you live in New York, Chicago, any of these types of places that have a huge, and Cook County Jail is right there.
Yeah. That's the main reason it's pepper spray season, is because obviously we live in a time where there's all-time highs of street rats, random violence people, people with criminal records who should have been in jail a million times already. So now it's like you have to kind of have a backup plan to prepare and spray people with pepper spray. Obviously, carrying a gun is great, but there's some situations where the gun doesn't come out, but you still need to defend yourself better than just your fists.
Yeah.
So you spray people with the pepper spray. Yeah. All right, the gun season section is actually going to get pushed to bonus land.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows.
And there also is a world where, you pull out a gun and it kind of does the same thing, but you don't want to be pulling out a gun a lot of times.
And then if you pull out a gun, they pull out a gun.
It gets misinterpreted, it escalates, and then you have to be the guy from you have to be a Clint Eastwood character and go, pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what you're doing.
So, yeah.
So if you're not gun savvy, obviously get trained up, but the in between could be pepper spray.
I think, and pepper spray used to be mostly for women, and I think in today it's like gone up. It's like a gold or something, like where the chart has gone up.
Yeah.
The usability of pepper spray has gotten more given the current societal decline that we're in most of these cities. I think we need to reevaluate every time you dust off the books and you go, let's reevaluate this. I think it's getting a higher score every day.
I think so too. All right, next we have a woman who says that the only way, is it a woman? I don't know. Maybe it's a man. It's a man. The only way society is going to be fixed is if white blood spills.
One way black people achieve true liberation, that's by taking it in blood. There has to be blood all over the floor. There has to be bodies on the floor. There has to be people screaming and crying. That is the reality. And this is what history shows me. No amount of begging, no amount of complaining, no amount of protesting, nada is going to get you your liberation until you take it with blood. You see? So this is why I sit back and I don't play along with any of these black people talking about it's a spiritual war, this, that, because when those cops are going into our neighborhoods and shooting our babies, that's a physical thing. You see, y'all so worried about the spiritual world, but you're not worrying about the world that's right in your face.
Yeah, you guys are already doing that. Let's get the chart back up.
You guys are already killing and leaving bodies and stealing things. You guys are already doing that against white people.
Yeah, you're already doing that. We have your gun chart here, and we also have the black on white crimes versus white on black, the pie chart. I don't know if you can understand how a pie chart works, but
probably not.
You can see the darker side's bigger, white side's smaller.
And the population is drastically different between these two. So the fact that you're bigger is crazy. And then also he says that when police go into our neighborhoods killing our babies, what the fuck are you talking about? You're really not even talking about anything. Yeah, well, I mean, it's implied. It's implied that you're a retard. And, you know, like the young kids who get killed in the hood, it's all drive-bys and shit.
Mm-hmm. It's all,
It's all you.
All the children dying in the hood are aborted and shot by other black people.
Yep.
Just so everyone knows. I think everyone watching already knew that. All right, well, don't get too down or too depressed. That's the end of Urban Decay. We're now moving on to Uplifting Gold. We have uplifting stuff today.
Okay.
All right, our first clip of Uplifting Gold is a gay guy who's not gay no more. Let that play, but it has copyrighted music, so careful. So here he is.
Lord, I just want to stop being gay. Heal me. And he's really gay. Don't worry.
And now he's not gay.
And he's with a woman.
I believe that. I think gay is reversible. They're just doing it to get attention and get a rise out of us. I think a gay guy, I think every gay guy can find one woman they're attracted to and would want to spend their life with.
I have a tough time with this.
I think they can all find one.
Okay.
You know? Because it's not about like, oh, it feels better with a guy. It's like poop and worse.
Ugh.
So it's not about it feels great. You're just trying to make your grandpa mad who went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know, man.
It goes both ways.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on to something.
I don't like gay guys.
Yeah,
that's not uplifting.
Let's move on to something more uplifting. This guy does ice bucket challenge with cat shit.
I'm Hunk Season, and this is the ALS Kitty Litter Challenge. I nominate Lil Cumtism, Trev the Dev, and Chris the Surfer. Oh!
Yeah. The last parts that fell on him were from the piss.
That's cake together piss.
Cake together piss.
That's how you get a disease that you've never even heard of.
Yeah, that's bad. That's not uplifting at all.
All right. For two.
This next one's uplifting. This is in Austin, Texas, and this guy is swinging from a crane. So that's kind of cool. And he's like going around, like they're swinging him around.
Is he wearing a harness?
Yeah,
he's hooked in. Yeah, he's got a harness.
But that's got to be safe, right? But look at that.
Yeah, if you're harnessed and you have the right gear, like
and that thing holds like thousands of pounds of shit, so you're fine.
Yeah.
So that's not even that scary. But that's cool. That's uplifting.
All right.
All right. Next is a dog in the grocery store. Thinks he's a person.
What kind of dog is that? Teacup? Teacup Yorkie?
Yeah, Yorkie. That's uplifting.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's funny.
Then you see the migrants in the store.
Yeah, and then there's those migrants.
And then you get a little depressed.
Can't have a dog checking out on his own if there's a migrant there, unfortunately. All right, next, this guy has like a secret tree house built into his property.
Be able to.
Oh, God.
Secret. Don't be worried. Don't be worried. So, how do you think we get to the treehouse from here? Well, here's...
Pretty cool. And let's fast forward it. Like we're gonna go like 2x speed or whatever. But sick treehouse, sick inside, multiple rooms, multiple levels, stairs to more treehouse. to more treehouse.
Yeah, I don't think that's a treehouse at this point.
It's a house in the trees.
Yeah, it's a house.
It's a house.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
That's very cool, yeah, obviously.
All right. And it's a cool hobby you probably built this whole life, and and you'll have some like asshole leftist kid who's like, I don't care about the treehouse, Dad. I live in San Francisco.
Sold to private equity Chinese people.
I have a tech job, Dad. I need to get vaccinated.
Rent it on Airbnb.
Go rent it on Airbnb.
$600 a night.
Yeah, exactly. All right, our last clip of Uplifting Gold. This girl wakes up on her birthday.
Милаша, просыпайся, у Алёши день рождения. Поздравлять. Пойдем поздравишь брата.
Isn't that cool? Little kid in her birthday.
I don't know if I believe it.
And it's special. She might have been in on it.
Yeah.
But it's a special birthday. All right. That's the end of our Uplifting Gold. That wasn't the best uplifting section.
I know, but you know what? We're going long on everything else. Fleckus phones it in on Uplifting Gold. You guys already know it. What can you expect from here? Can't make everybody happy.
Let's get to our shout-outs. Nothing crazy. We have a happy birthday to Courtney, whose birthday was on April 19th. And then here's her watching on 5 devices. Yeah. And that's great.
I think this is the husband watching on 5.
Yeah, husband, John. That's great, but also, I should have clarified 5 accounts. Because if you watch, say you have a YouTube app, and I'm not even trying to sneak views, it's just like, if you watch with your husband and you both watch on one thing, I'm getting 1 view for 2 people. But if you watch on your husband's and then you watch on your wife's YouTube, that's 2 views that actually count. So that's what I mean by multiple devices.
Okay.
But no one has to do anything, and that's just like a joke.
Well, so what do you think the average viewer is who watches the show? Do you think it's like 1.4 people together in a room watching the show?
Yeah, it's over 1.2.
So that means we're bigger than I thought.
Yeah. And then we've been getting over 70,000 on our last few episodes now that we're going longer. And if you do 70,000 and then you do the 1.4, that's like 100 and something thousand on YouTube alone.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Not to mention Rumble and audio.
All right. Happy birthday to Josh Hunt, who turned 36 on April 26th. Him and Tiffany watch every episode together. And they just had their 3rd baby.
Congratulations.
And Josh homeschools the kids, and he's also got a jiu-jitsu gym called Appalachian Submission and Grappling.
We hit a lot of topics for him. The fat jiu-jitsu guy this episode and the homeschooling literacy rate. So this episode really applies to you.
It's for you, Josh.
And you're getting a shout-out.
And you're getting a shout-out.
Good for you.
Happy birthday to John G on April 26th. That's from us and Eileen. Happy birthday, John G.
Happy birthday, John G.
Happy birthday to Evan Kasksak, who turned 16 on April 22nd. He's a bonus lander, too.
Happy birthday, Evan. What was that last name?
Kasksak.
Cat sack. Okay.
Kasksak. SCS.
Oh, okay. He's a Polish guy.
Yeah, he's
some sort of Polish guy.
It's probably Ketchuk.
Stand tall, brother. Stand tall, brother.
All right. And our last happy birthday and the most important happy birthday of all, so sorry to everyone else, happy birthday to JJ, who's turning 12 tomorrow on April 23rd. Here is her doing a John from the Overpass impression. So we're going to let that play.
Guys, it's Fleckus. We're press testing right above the 101, and I'm here with John. Would you consider yourself to be a socialist? Kind of, but at the same time, anarchist, if it goes or if it gets to that point, because words are just words until actions actually start. And actions speak louder than words, but sometimes words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool.
Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. I like the padded meatloaf suit.
Why did they add padding?
Oh, they had to. They had to be hyper realistic.
That's so nice. But it also makes you wonder, are we cursing too much on the show?
Sometimes.
Sometimes I worry that we curse a little too much.
Yeah,
But they can't see it, so they can't hear it right now. But I think we curse too much on the show.
I think it's up to the parents, man. I don't know. I never set out to do a show for 12-year-olds, guys.
That's true.
I never did, and I know you never did.
But we do love you guys.
Of course we do.
And we apologize if there are times when the language is a little vulgar or the topics are a little vulgar.
You can't do that yet.
But we are very grateful for everyone. Happy birthday, JJ. That was a very cool rendition. We love you guys. We're very grateful for everyone who watches. And, you know, we'll clean it up. Maybe we get rid of some of the cheap shit and fuck.
Can't. You need it.
We'll try. I'll try a little bit.
Not me.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. If you are still watching and you want 30 minutes more show, we are doing Bonus Land right now. FlexTalks.com is the website. Have a nice weekend. We're going to see everybody on Tuesday.
And he goes, I'll shoot you. She goes, hey, I'm here to help.